Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the pocket knife build. So I decided not to grind it down because they're pretty thin as it is. So I'm going to do the heat treat and getting the forge up to temperature, and then I'll be back when this is ready. Alright, so we got the blade in there. Not sure if you could see it down in there, but as soon as that comes up to temperature, I have a little magnet right there. Once it doesn't stick to that, we'll dip it into the oil and it'll be quenched. Alright, so we got lucky, it's nice and straight. We didn't get a warp as far as I could see. I'll check it again. But now we're going to put the spring in. We'll let this cool off. Oh, we got lucky again. That's nice and straight. So now we're going to let these cool down, and then we'll clean them up, and we'll go to the tempering stage. Alright, so they cool down to the touch. And again, I got lucky. There are no warps in these at all. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean them with some emery cloth, and then we're going to go on to the temper. Alright, pardon my dirty hands, but so we got the blade all cleaned up, ready for temper. We got the spring all cleaned up. Now I don't know if I ever demonstrated this before, but how you know if it gets hardened, you just get a file, and if you can hear that, it doesn't bite into it. It just kind of skates across. Let me grab a piece of regular steel here, and I'll show you the difference. Hear that? That's biting into it. It's like you get a higher pitch, and I know you can't feel it, but it's kind of like glass. It just kind of slides right off of it. And you'll see it doesn't make any marks on it at all. So that's how you know it's hard. So now we got to temper it to bring it into working stability. And this is going to go in the oven at 400 degrees for an hour. It's going to cool off, and we're going to do that 3 times. Now this is going to be a little different. This has got to be tempered at about 700 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I have a lead pouring pot for making sinkers and bullets and lead soldiers, and we're going to get that up to temperature about 700 degrees, and we're going to dip this in it and leave it in there for about 10 minutes, and we're going to do that twice. So let's get at that. Alright, not sure if this is showing up, but I got that at about 720 degrees. It's a Lee melting pot, and I have the spring on a piece of wire, and I'm going to dunk that in there and keep it around 720 for about, from what I read, like 12 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to get this in there. Now I'm just going to keep my eye on it, and in probably about 15 minutes I'll take it out and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, it's probably all nice and toasty now. Yeah, look at the color of that, huh? Got that nice blue color. Alright, that lead will be easy to get off. I'll scrape that off. But hopefully you can see that nice blue color in there. That's what we were looking for. Hopefully that shows up. Alright, so we're going to let this cool to room temperature. And then I'll show you the blade after it's tempered, and we'll take the next step. Alright, so the tempering is done. You can see the difference in the colors, right? On the blade, we have this, like, I guess they call it like a straw color, light straw color. So that was 400 degrees in the oven for, I did it for about an hour and a half. Let it cool down, and then you do that 3 times. So now this is technically a knife blade. All right, it's got just the right hardness that it needs. So the next step we're going to do on this is we're going to grind in the basically the blade. So we're going to make this a hopefully a full flat grind. Okay, and then here's the spring. I still got a little bit of lead on this side. I'll just sand that off, but you can see the dark color that is. Dark blue. And then this side was just roughly cleaned, so you can see how nice and shiny it gets again. So we're going to do that up for both of these. We'll run some sandpaper, emery cloth across them, and then the next step we're going to do is we're going to start working on the liners, and we'll see how far we get. So I'll be back with the liners. Alright, so we have the blade and the spring fairly cleaned up. There's going to be some more sanding and grinding going on with that. So next we have the liners. Okay, these are just brass. This is from a brass kick plate on a door. I'm sure if you ever saw like a big old wooden door to like a bank or something, you'd see that there's a piece of brass on the bottom. That's what this is. So this is some tough stuff. Now I have some double stick tape. Let me grab a piece of this. Okay. Now we're going to take a template for the liners. I'm going to put that on there. And I'm going to start off by drilling one hole. I'm going to be doing pretty much similar to what we did to the blade and the spring. We're going to get the holes in first. Alright, so we'll drill this one first. So I'll take that over to the drill press and I'll drill that in. Alright, take this over to the table and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now we have that hole in here. I'm going to take the spring, I'm going to put the pin in. Okay, now I'll line this up and I'll drill this second hole because we want to make sure everything is perfectly lined up. Okay, so now we know the spring and the two liners are going to be perfect. So now I'll bring it back over to the table and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so we have our first hole drilled with the pin in it, holding it. We'll take our second pin, we'll put it in there. Okay, now this is going to be the outside of this. So we're going to draw this out to make sure we're in the right place. Okay. Now we can take this off, the spring off. We can put these back. And we're going to slip this on. You want to make sure everything is lined up. Alright, so we obviously have to do some grinding on the outside, which is fine. Now we want to draw this hole. That's the next one to get drilled. So back over to the drill press. All 3 holes drilled. Alright, so we have our 3 holes drilled. we're going to put our template back on. And we're going to get ourselves a rough outline. We want to stay proud. Okay, now we're going to trim off that excess. This is all going to come off. And I'm probably going to do that with the belt sander because I want to go nice and slow. So let's get over there and get at it. Okay, so you get the idea. I'll finish this up and I'll bring you back. Alright, so I have the liner here. I have a little piece of wood here with the holes that match the liner. So I'm going to place this on here, put some pins in. We're going to get our spring. We're going to put our spring on. Okay. Then we're going to place this in a vise with this little block of aluminum sticking up, because we're going to need to compress the spring. So as you can see, this is sticking up. Okay. Now we get our blade with the pin for the blade. We're going to place it over the hole. We're going to get this C-clamp. We're going to place it on the spring and very gently start tightening it. I have that backwards. Okay. Doesn't take much. There you have it. Now the spring is engaged. So I'll bring this over to the table and I'll show you the function. And we're giving it a test run. Now you make sure you hold this here because it's going to want to pop up. But it needs a little refining, but not sure if you heard that, but so it sounded like a knife. Once we get the refining done, we're going to have to do a little grinding over here so that it closes further in because it's sticking out too far. Okay, and then obviously trim the liner around. The back of the back spring is just a little too wide, if you can see that right there. So this should be perfect, this liner. It's fitting nice in there. Got a nice line going up. It's slightly that way, which we want. And it's looking good. Looking really good. So I think this is a good point to end this one. And then we'll pick it up where we do the final shaping here to get this to go in further. And we'll cut the bone scales and hopefully get everything together in the next part. So thanks everyone. Again, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your views. And I hope you all are having a wonderful day. And we'll see you on part 3.